Look at another question. Question number 11. Who else is talking about solutions for climate change disasters? Are other leaders and politicians, faith, science talking about it? What do they say about the coming climate change disasters? Let's take a look here. July 5, 2018, National Catholic Reporter states, Cardinal warns of possible collapse, Earth's livability. At Vatican event, clear urgency for climate action. There's like 400 global faith leaders, scientists, politicians, with hopes of influencing separate meeting International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the UN Climate Conference, and those pegged third anniversary Pope Francis 2015 environmental encyclical Laudato Si. Everyone's going to hear about this encyclical. It's on care for our common home. The same Vatican secretary state who was accepted to Bilderberg, he wants us to know we're all about to die. And what is his solution? Laudato Si. Look at another one. The UK, it'll spend trillions to reduce CO2 emissions, while the real offenders, you and I, little. Cheap solution, huh? Trillions? Why spend trillions when you can just stop the world from driving around their favorite shopping centers? You know, studies even prove that it can reduce CO2 by great percentages. In fact, Trump said that if countries like China and India weren't taking total advantage of the Paris Agreement, he'd be glad to stay in the agreement. So if the UN would just agree, have a 1 day a week to see shopping ban, Trump's all in. I mean, shouldn't the US try this free solution? It's easy, isn't it? You don't agree? Are you one of those deniers who's killing people all over the world for emissions? You see where it leads? December 15, 2008. This is the climate conference. Poland COP24 UN Climate Change Conference occurred. Nearly 23,000 delegates, 500 volunteers descended on the city with a deadline for hashing out Paris Agreement rulebook, which is the operating manual needed when the global deal enters force. When? 2020. The deal struck after an all-night bargaining session will ultimately require every country in the world to follow a uniform set of standards. Measure the planet's warming emissions, and tracking their climate policy to build resilience against natural disasters. Millions of people are facing increased risks from severe droughts, as floods, wildfires. In Poland, while they're in Poland, of all these places, that's where it was held. Remember, Poland outlawed shopping, consumerism, and all Sunday shopping will be banned by January 1, 2020. Did you know that studies are already showing the improvement in carbon emissions in these countries that have accepted Sunday shopping bans? Yes, it works. Should the US ban shopping 1 day a week too? That's the question asked. December 31, 2018. Says my 2019 prediction article is that churches and people of faith across the world will recognize the destruction of climate change. Prophetic call, change our ways of living. Thanks, Radical Thought at religionnews.com. Look at another quote, January 24, 2019. This is California Congressman Ro Khanna tweeted, new rule, anyone who opposes investments or a Green New Deal has to tell us how they will pay for the damage from intense hurricanes and floods, droughts, wildfires, rapid sea level rise, ecological devastation. What he said. You know, you could be one of these troublemakers if you don't accept the solution to prevent climate change. The result will be the replay of the troublemakers' drought, famine, lasted 3.5 years, days of Elijah. Said, 1 Kings 17, 1-18. As Elijah said unto King Ahab, there shall not be dew, nor rain these years, I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets in a cave, and I fed them with bread and water. Later, Ahab saw Elijah, and Ahab said unto him, Art thou he that troubleth Israel? Elijah answered, I have not troubled Israel, but thou, thy father's house have, that ye have forsaken the commandments of the Lord. What he said, wow. These parallels are strewn throughout the Bible. This is our generation. What's really interesting is that Elijah was sent to a woman to miraculously fill her vessel with oil and water, which remained full for years, a long time at least, it appears. But her son died. Why? God is trying to save that family. Why did he die? Why would he let them die? God is telling us through this parallel that in our generation, when these climate outs come, he will feed us. And he will not only do that, feed us, but that the sick and the dead shall be healed by you and me as God works through us. Of course, Satan will do likewise. But this is all another myth altogether. Let's continue to see who else is speaking climate change, right? We're looking at politicians, celebrities, leaders. January 2019, Catholics confront global poverty. It says climate change and poverty are closely aligned. The people who suffer most from the disruption of natural disasters are our brothers. Pope Francis calls on us, Catholics and Americans. It's time to address global warming, poverty, emissions to raise Earth's surface temperature dangerously, tripling heat waves, extreme precipitation, sea warms, acidifies, sea level rise. That's what he has to say. May 26, 2019, Sunday for the Future. Germany's Greens celebrate double-digit score. EU vote. This Sunday for Future for the Greens, lead candidate in Germany, in a nod to the Fridays for Future. Cool strikes by students. Yeah, that's a good thing. Sounding the alarm on the climate crisis. Articles all over the place. But May 27, 2019, EU Parliament elections leaned green. It's the first time that climate change has played such a role in an election, said Greens chief. We must now implement our proposals on climate change. Do it now or never, right? Because we're all going to die soon. Okay? April 18, 2019. The article quotes New York City just passed historic climate legislation. Own Green New Deal. That's what happened in New York. April 30, 2019. Let's seize the moment and create a Green New Deal for the UK. That's all over the world. Green New Deal, even over there. May 22, 2019. Why the whole world the Green New Whole world. June 4, 2019, 3 federal judges heard arguments Tuesday about whether young people have a constitutional right to be protected from climate change. These young people deserve that chance to present their full case against those who, through their governance, harm them. End quote. NewYorkTimes.com. The young people. May 27, 2019, at the Vatican, the Holy Father's intervention at this meeting. Weeping him. He says climate change and new evidence from science, engineering, and policy, organized by the Pontifical Academy for Sciences at the Vatican, where also the Pontifical Academy of Social Science resides. Pope Francis said, I extend a cordial welcome to each of you here in the Vatican, the President of the General Assembly of the United Nations, and ministers of finance from various nations. Thank you for coming to the Vatican. Around the world, we're seeing heat waves, droughts, seeing forest fires, floods, and other extreme meteorological events, rising sea levels, the emergence of disease, and further problems that are only a dire premonition of things much worse to come. Unless we act urgently, today's global interdependence obliges us Think in terms of one world with a common plan. Pope Francis quote, "Did you know that the Vatican has its own science department, the Pontifical Academy of Science? Yes, they have everything necessary to dominate science, politics, influence. They've got money, you name it, taken care of." September 20, 2019, Voices for the Future. Climate activism lights up the UN. 6 young advocates, including Greta Thunberg, addressing hopes and also fears around the climate crisis and the urgent actions that must be taken. Messages from the younger generation transform the UN into a glowing beacon of prophetic, highlighting the climate crisis. Greta's words were some 10 feet tall. They lit up the side of New York UN building here. This is what they said on the site. "We can no longer save the world by playing by the rules because the rules have changed. We need a system change. Everything needs change." What? Wow. Strong words from a little mouth. I think that's the... Who better speak on behalf of such an event than a young pigtailed girl also happens to have a touch of autism? And what better way to advertise something across the globe than to display it as large as buildings? Gee, what else would this display be used for? Look at another quote, September 23, 2019, 16-year-old, you name it, global climate change activist Greta Thunberg. She addresses the United Nations in a dramatic speech, quote, "You have stolen my childhood. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We're in the beginning of a mass extinction. All you can talk about, money, economic growth. How dare you?" Keyword going around the globe, how dare you. October 14, 2019, Greta Thunberg tweets to her 2.8 million followers. Again and again she says the same message. Listen to the scientists. Listen to the scientists. Listen to the scientists. Some people say that we should be in school instead of strikes. But she says, why should we be studying for a future that soon will be no more? And what is the point in learning facts within the school system when the most important facts given, the finest science of that same school system, clearly means nothing to our politicians' society? What she said sounds reasonable, doesn't it? With 8 million views, I think she's got some followers. I think she has a following. I think that's amazing. And the messenger says, she says, science, in her pride, may seek to explain strange happenings on land and on sea. But science fails, tracing in these things the workings of providence. Hurricanes and storms, tempests, fire and flood, disasters by sea and land. Science seeks to explain them. Indeed. You know, the picture's much bigger than we imagine. There's a great controversy that exists visibly against the darkness of this world, against principalities and powers, wickedness in high places, things we don't see. She also said that the Sunday movement, making its movement darkness, leaders are concealing the true issue. Many who unite in this movement do not themselves see whither the undercurrent is tending. Its professions are mild, apparently Christian, but when it shall speak, it will reveal the spirit of the dragon. You know, everyone's talking about climate change. The unification is almost complete. The wound is almost fully healed. The time for that marvelous working to impersonate Christ soon to come. Jesus is expected to come according to Protestants and Catholics, Jews and Muslims. And indeed, the false Messiah will arrive right on schedule. Let's move on to the next question.
Keep watching for the next video in this series.